This is Kevin with Easy Set Investing, and this is another video of the drip versus BNB matchup. And in this video, we're going to determine the best strategy that we can use to increase the price of drip. Should we buy from the reservoir, or should we simply buy from the decentralized exchange, which is your DEX, also known as the fountain? We're also going to talk about that $129 price prediction, which I shared with you in the last video. When are we going to see a $129 price, drip price? Are we going to see it this market cycle, or are we going to see it next year or the next bull market? Finally, we're going to look at the drip and BNB price chart. What is going on with the price of drip? Are we going to see higher price from here, or are we going to see lower prices? So let's talk about that. Let's get it. Okay, we're going to start by determining which strategy is best at increasing the price of drip, whether it's the DEX or the reservoir. But before we can do that, we have to understand how the price of drip is even calculated, because we have to be aware of these factors that increase the price of drip. Because once we are aware of these factors, we can ask ourselves, okay, which strategy is best at decreasing drip supply? Which strategy is best at increasing BNB balance? And the BNB price is a bonus if the price is in our favor. But once we have considered these factors, it'll make it more clear, or we can more easily identify the best strategy that we should use as a community to increase the price of drip. Okay, so let's do it. How is the price of drip calculated? Now, when a person buys from the DEX, they're exchanging their BNB for drip. BNB goes in and drip comes out. So the action of buying causes the BNB balance to go up and the drip supply to go down. So that has a positive effect on drip price. However, selling your drip has the reverse effect. BNB comes out and drip goes in. So that action causes the BNB balance to go down and the drip supply to go up. So let's look at a few examples here. Now, if my drip supply is at 122,000 and my BNB balance is at 3,000 with a BNB price of 403, that'll give me a BNB value of 1.2 million. Now, if I divide the BNB value by the drip supply of 122,000, that'll give me a drip price of $10.57. Now, if the drip supply dropped down to 100,000 and my BNB balance is 3.9 thousand with the same BNB price of $403, that'll give me a BNB value of 1.5 million. And if I divide this by the drip supply, that'll give me a $15.71 drip price. It goes up as the drip supply comes down. Now, if the drip supply goes up to 130,000 and my BNB balance is 3,000 with the same BNB price, that'll give me a BNB value of 1.2 million in a drip price. And if I divide this by the drip supply, that'll give me a drip price of $9.30. So as you can see, when the drip supply is at its lowest and the BNB balance is at its highest, that gives us the highest BNB value. And of course, that'll give us the highest drip price. So now that we understand how the drip price is calculated, and we are aware of the factors that affect drip price, now it'll be easier for us to identify whether buying from the DEX or the reservoir is more effective in increasing the price of drip. So let's go there. Okay, I have the fountain and reservoir side by side, and we're going to determine which is best when it comes to increasing the price of drip. And don't forget the factors that affect or increase the price of drip, which is a low drip supply and a high BNB balance. So let's start with the fountain. Now, when you buy drip, there's no tax. So 100% of the BNB you're using to buy drip goes to the BNB balance, and that increases the BNB balance by 100% of what you put in. Now, 100% of drip comes out based on the amount of BNB you put in. So the split I have is a 100% effect on increasing the BNB balance and a 100% effect on decreasing the drip supply. So this is the split I have for the fountain. However, it's much more complicated when it comes to the reservoir. Now, when you put BNB into the reservoir, there's a 10% tax. 5% goes to the reservoir pool, 3% is locked, and 2% is distributed to liquidity providers. Now, the reason I put 98% here is because of that 2% that's distributed to providers. There's no guarantee that those providers are going to compound that BNB that they receive, or if they're going to even use that BNB to buy drip. So because of that, I'm not counting that 2%. So I'm going to put 98% here. Even the reservoir pool, when the 5% goes to the reservoir pool, this BNB is distributed daily to liquidity providers. So even this BNB will reduce the BNB balance gradually over time. However, since that 5% does go into drip, I'm going to go ahead and just leave the 98% here instead of making this 93. So we have 98%. Now, once you put your BNB into reservoir, and after you have paid the 10% tax, you're left with 90% of your BNB. Now, half of that BNB is used to buy drip. So 45% of drip is coming out of supply, and that 45% of drip is paired with 45% of BNB. The other 45% of BNB is added to is increasing the BNB balance. So the split we have is the 90% plus the 8% from the tax, which gives us a 98% effect on increasing the BNB balance and a 45% effect on decreasing the drip supply. So as you can see, based on the split for reservoir and the split for fountain, fountain is the most effective strategy that we can use to increase the price of drip. And that's the reason I say that fountain is better for increasing price and reservoir is better for supporting price. Now, the reason reservoir is better to support price is because of the 3% that's locked in liquidity, which over time, as more and more liquidity is onboarded into drip, more BNB will be locked, and that'll give us a harder or a higher price floor using based on the BNB balance. However, if we want to increase price, we should buy drip from the DEX. Okay, now that we have covered this and we understand the best strategy that we can use to increase the price of drip, let's talk about that price prediction. Okay, now in my last video, drip price round 3, I gave a price prediction, and that prediction was $129. Now, I didn't give a timeline for that price, so someone asked me on my YouTube channel, they said, when could it hit $129? Few months or years? And I believe the same person asked that question in the Telegram group. So I'm going to answer that question in this video. But first, I want to get one thing clear. Now, the price on Nominix and also the price on CoinTrader for the drip token is different from the price that we see on the DEX of drip. And that's because the liquidity is different. Now, the way we can find out what the price of drip would be on the DEX of drip, depending on what price Nominix and CoinTrader is giving us, you guys may use other websites. We just need to get the ratio between the two prices. So let's go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to bring up the calculator, and we're going to get the ratio between these two so we can find out what the price would be on the DEX if another price chart is giving us a different price. And the way we do that is by going to the DEX of drip and putting in drip's price, $10.65. Now we're going to go back to the chart that we want to analyze, which in this case, we're going to go to Nominex, and we're going to put in the price that we see of drip on the Nominex website. So we'll divide this. We'll divide $10.65 by $9.73. Okay, and that gives us a ratio of 1.09. Now I can use this ratio to find out what the price on the DEX would be based on the price that Nominex is giving me for the drip token. So if I say that drip may drop down to $8.50, that is not, and I'm looking at the Nominex price chart, that does not mean that we will see the same price on the DEX on the drip website. So what I can do is take that $8.50 price, let me bring this back up, and I can multiply that by the ratio. So we'll put $8, we'll put this ratio times $8.50. And that gives us the price of drip. So if the price on the Nominex price chart for the drip token drops down to $8.50, based on the ratio that we got, that'll give us a $9.30 price on the DEX of the drip website. Okay, so I just wanted to get that clear, and I may have to use this again as we talk about the price prediction and as I explain what's going on with drip price. Okay, so let's talk about that price prediction. So we're going to start with the BNB chart here. Now, what I want to do is analyze the behavior of BNB price against the behavior of drip, and we'll just compare the two. Okay, so when BNB price dropped from about $670 down to $220, BNB began to trade sideways. And around that time, as it was trading sideways, drip broke its resistance, and then it went on to all-time highs. Now, it traded sideways, or the time that BNB traded sideways before drip broke its resistance was 53 days. And if we go back to Nominex, we look here that it broke its resistance on July 4th. So if we go back to Nominex, we see that drip broke its resistance around here on July 4th. And after it broke through this resistance with more volume than it had before, that's when drip went on to its all-time high. So based on this, after 53 days of BNB trading sideways, that is when drip broke its resistance at about, according to this chart, $8.50. So once drip broke its resistance, it went on to its all-time high, which is about $58. So if drip and BNB behave in a similar way, that could mean that once BNB dropped here, and if it began to trade for another 53 days sideways here, that will mean that on October 30th, drip will break through its resistance and continue on to its next price level. I don't know if it's going to go up to the all-time high of $58, but if it did break its resistance, that could mean that on October 30th, it'll break that resistance and go to a higher price level. So let's look at the drip price to find out what this looks like. So right now, drip's price of support is here at about $9.76. So what is that price on the DEX of drip? So we multiply the ratio by this $9.76. That means that drip support on the DEX of drip network is $10.68. And as you can see, drip broke through that support, and now that support is acting as resistance. So drip could drop down to this $8.50 price level because, as I said in my last video, round three is that drip could return to where it started in the beginning, and it could even drop lower. We don't know. We just have to hold and believe in the project. But if drip does drop down to $8.50, what is the price on the DEX of drip? So let's pull up the ratio here, and we'll put in the $8.50 price. So if drip dropped down to $8.50, which is another support level, we would see a $9.30 price on the DEX of drip. So if that's the case, that would mean that by October 30th, if BNB continue to trade sideways until October 30th, if the prices follow the same behavior, that would mean that on October 30th, drip will break through this price level of around $10 on the DEX of drip. I'm not saying that it'll go up to its all-time high of $58, or I'm not saying that it'll go from here all the way up to $129. But if it does break this resistance, we could see drip hit this resistance here. Because if you pull back and look at the chart, you can see here that this drip is in a descending triangle, and this level here has been resistance. So the level that drip really needs to break through is here. So I can't say for sure that drip will break this resistance on October 30th, or if it would break this resistance on October 30th. But these are the two resistance levels that drip would need to break through. Now, if we look at October 30th, that goes beyond this descending triangle. So once drip gets to this level here, we could see a breakout earlier than October 30th, and then eventually break this and then begin to trend upward. But these are the resistance levels that drip would need to break through in order to go on to higher prices. I don't know if it's going to be this year or next year. I don't know how long it's going to take for us to get to $129. But what I can tell you is that drip performs better in the bear market. Drip has proven with the data that we do have, we know that drip performs well while BNB is trading sideways. And once drip does surpass or get past these two resistance levels here and begins to trend upward, it's going to hit $58. This will be a resistance here. It'll pull back, go back up, and then the next level that we would need to break through is $58. But I just cannot tell you exactly when that's going to happen. But based on its behavior, we know that drip could break its resistance of whatever is the nearest resistance while BNB is trading sideways. That's what I have for you. Thank you guys for watching until the end. This is Easy Step. Don't forget to like and subscribe.